I'm your host, Carolyn Solo, LCSW, EMDR therapist, and mom of three daughters. Thank you for joining me.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to episode 48 of the Future Template Parent Podcast. I'm Carolyn Solo, LCSW, and officially now PhD, EMDR therapist, and mother of three daughters. Thanks for joining me. So, last week, I did a short intro into the early trauma protocol and using it in EMDR intensives. So, I really enjoyed that episode. I hope it was helpful to some of you. And today I'm going to talk about something that I see EMDR therapists confronting all the time, limiting beliefs about money that can get in your way as you try to implement a fee structure that's supportive of your financial needs and goals and desires. I will name the most common mindset traps I hear from therapists, some ways to challenge them, and a bit about my own story going from charging $2,000 for an intensive and then up to where I am now, charging $5,000 for the same, like for a 15-hour intensive. So let's get into it. The first and most common money mindset issue I hear come up for therapists who are thinking about offering either, premium hourly sessions or a high ticket intensive, which is mostly the people I talk to, is that clients can't afford it and we're making the service inaccessible. And then under that we're greedy. This is tough, right? We all care so much about the work we do and about being helpers, right? That's why we went into this field. This work is so hard, no matter how much you get paid. Why would you do it if you didn't care about people, right? Um, but yeah, when someone says something like this to us, it really feels hard to realize that we cannot help everyone who could benefit from our services, right? But how could we? Just numbers wise, of course. But it's impossible. And if we are trying to do that by offering a low fee and seeing many, many clients, we're not caring for ourselves first, which means we can't be good therapists. Like I firmly believe that. Okay. Like, how do we show up as the best therapist for our clients if we're always distracted because we are thinking about the next client or we are stressed out about money or we know we have a really long day and we're wondering how we can get through it? Or we're feeling resentful of our client who we might realize has resources and could be paying us more, right? There's all these pieces that can come up for us. And of course, as the therapist, it's our job to work through this so it doesn't affect the relationship. But one way you have to do that is by charging more. And also, financial wellness allows us to be the best therapist we can be, right? We can take time off so we're not totally burnt out. We can do trainings that enhance our skills. We can be rested. We can be present, right? We can care for our bodies in the ways that we need to so that we can show up as the best possible therapist we can be. And that is a service that in and of itself you should charge a premium for, right? If there's a difference between a therapist who sees 7 people a day, 5 days a week, showing up to you for 45 minutes, and a therapist who is devoting an entire day just to you, you're going to have a totally different experience, right? That's why intensives are worth so much more, I think. And, we individual therapists are not responsible for making services accessible, right? This is a collective issue. Insurance, you know, the insurance companies are predatory, right? And so they are not going to do anything that's in the best interest of the practitioner. And mental health therapists, we're low on the food chain, right? We are not in the same category as, MDs, right? So we're not going to get the same kind of reimbursement no matter what the value of our work is, right? This is an insurance issue, right? It's not our issue. And why does charging a low fee make, it's not changing anything for anybody else. Another major mindset trap I see is this idea that I'm not a good enough EMDR therapist to charge a premium fee, right? First of all, we don't know that about anyone, right? We all have our own imposter syndrome, and I think it's big with EMDR in particular because it's such a new modality. Like especially when you learn, it feels like you're a different kind of therapist. But I also think that yeah, it's a modality that we should take seriously, and you should be responsible for building your skills. However, if you don't have the time or money to take trainings, how are you supposed to build your skills, right? And you will show up differently when you have more confidence, when you feel more solid in your skills. So there's trainings, there's reading, there's books out there, there's articles, there's consultation, both individual and group. right? All of these things are ways to increase your confidence and become a better EMDR therapist. And they all take either time, money, or both. So how are you going to do that if you're not charging enough, right? So there is a real investment that you need to make to become a better EMDR therapist, but that investment has to come from somewhere. It's not going to come out of nowhere, right? Also, the more EMDR you do, the better you become. Okay. And intensives are a great way to do more EMDR and become better. Processing for 2 straight hours before you take a break is a very different experience than processing for 20 minutes with 4 people in one day. Okay. What you are going to be able to do, what you're going to learn about what EMDR can do during that time is going to massively increase your confidence. You're going to kind of stumble into new interweaves that work well. You're going to really see what happens to a client as they're going through this process of change right in front of you. You're going to become a better therapist by that, in that process. And, a lot of us are intimidated by phase 4 at the beginning. I was just talking to somebody about this at the beginning of our EMDR journey. And when you're spending hours in phase 4, I promise you, you're not going to be scared of it anymore. You're going to be like, let's do this. Okay. And so you get over that. Intensive can help you get over some of that really quickly. And as you become more confident, you are going to get more referrals. Like if you project confidence about your skills, that's what people want to see, right? They don't want you being quote humble when you're trying to convince them that you're really good at what you do. Okay. Um, and when you project that confidence, I do believe you'll do a better job. And then you're going to start getting more referrals, which will give you more confidence, which will make you more comfortable with charging a premium fee, right? So try an intensive. It's not, or charge a premium fee. What do you have to lose, right? And get support if you need it. That's why I'm here. That's why other consultants are out there. Like you do not have to do this alone, but don't let your fear of not being good enough stop you from offering a service that's incredibly life-changing for people. Another biggie, the fear of judgment from others for charging a high fee. From other therapists, maybe from friends or even family, maybe from strangers on the internet. Happens to me all the time on Instagram. It's okay. It's just, if you're going to market on Instagram, you're going to get people saying nasty things. That's just how it is. You can survive it, I promise. It hurts sometimes, but those people don't know you. They don't know what is true about you. Anyway, a little aside, because that also happened to me today earlier. Someone said something mean on a reel that I made. But anyway, I wish I could tell you that this judgment won't happen, but it likely will. Okay. Because money triggers a lot of things in a lot of people, right? I think probably the most common place you'll get challenged on this is from other therapists. And so, limit your exposure to people that are going to tear you down. Like you need to be around people who are going to encourage you in this way. That is why I'm excited about this group program I'm going to do in the fall, where you're going to be in a group of max 8 therapists who are starting to offer intensives and encouraging each other and making progress all along the way. You need to have colleagues like that whose voices you hear in your ear, not, I can't believe you're charging so much. You're so greedy. You're blah, blah, blah. Like those voices do nothing for you. Okay. Yeah. So in my group program, you're going to get those voices. And I'll be telling you that over and over again. So first of all, I'll say you never have to respond to those comments, at least not in a way that invites debate. I mean, of course, if someone says it to your face in a conversation, you can hear it and you can just respond in a measured way. I mean, look, sometimes you're going to be angry and that's okay too. But you don't need to get into a debate about that because guess what? You're not going to change somebody's mind, right? Who's not open to having their mind changed. And if someone's being rude, you can walk away or politely end the conversation. Like I kind of think of what might you say if you're a parent, right? If someone critiques your parenting choice, or what about if somebody makes a comment about your appearance that is harmful, right? There's a polite way to shut those comments down. And just like comments on parenting and your appearance, comments on your fees are a projection of that person's stuff onto you, right? You don't have to take that on. Okay. If a therapist tells you that you're greedy and you're just reinforcing harmful systems and I would want to know. I'm not going to ask them because I don't want to get into it with them, but I'd be interested. Where does that therapist work? How far along are they in their career? What's their career been like? What do they think the role of a therapist is? Like, there's so much stuff that they're bringing to that comment that is about them. They don't like, especially on the internet, they don't know me from a hole in the wall, right? So, or you, just say because it's happened to me. Um, why engage with them, right? You thank you for your opinion. Okay, like I hear you. Yeah, I know that that's another perspective or whatever. Just something neutral. And on the internet, you do not have to respond. Listen to my episode a few weeks ago about getting called out on the internet and what to do. Because that's just more and more common now. Now that a lot of us have these social media professional profiles, we can get actively called out in there. And like, if you get any kind of a following and you're talking about charging a lot of money, you will get called out on it at some point. It's just part of the nature of the beast. Um, so sorry, I got lost in my notes. That happens sometimes. But what's on the other side of this fear of getting called out, right? That you might be talking to someone who, like, if you actually do, if you are open about your fees and you have conversations about them, there might be people who actually applaud you, like me, like others, for doing what you need to do for your finances, for your life, for your family. They applaud you for recognizing your worth. And you get to be an inspiration to other therapists. Okay. A rising tide lifts all boats. When you charge premium fees, it gives permission to another therapist to do so. It increases the value of the profession. Everyone sees the value of it more. Okay. If we're all charging $20 an hour, what what is like that's harming everybody in so many ways. Okay. But when you make it clear that that's what you do, you give other people permission to be open about it and to even think about that's a possibility. Um, and then yeah, also society will value it more if more people are raising their fees, right? Like we do incredible work and we don't get a lot of credit for it. But the more we say, no, this is what this is worth, then the more people will see that worth. And think of all those fields where people do not hesitate to charge thousands of dollars for things. And what are people getting out of them? Like business consulting for, like McKinsey or whatever. I don't know what I'm talking about, but like people charge a lot of money for all sorts of things with all sorts of levels of value. There's just this idea that giving people advice as if that's what we do should be free. And that's bullshit and it's sexist and it's like, that's sort of white supremacy talking that what we like care work does not have a value and that it should be free. I fundamentally disagree with that. Okay. Think about some of the amazing things you could do if you are charging that you can't do now. What if you could pay for a vacation for your family and you've never gotten to take them on vacation, right? What if you can pay off your student loans or at least pay them off faster? That you're not going to the grave with student loans. What if you could go to that expensive restaurant with your friends and pay your share of the bill without worrying that your budget is shot for the month, right? What if you could go to the theater more? Whatever is meaningful to you. What if you could make a meaningful donation, like not $5, although no donation is too small. But what if you can make a meaningful donation to a cause that matters to you, right? What if you could get massages twice a month? Because you know how important regular body work is for your health and also for your practice, right? Like if we're more attuned to our bodies, that makes us better EMDR therapists. And, the less stress and tension we carry, again, we're going to be better at what we do. And our job makes us carry a lot of tension and tension. But anyway, I'm just talking about myself, but like massages are expensive. And I think they make me better at what I do. What if you can afford them twice a month? Right. And you can dream, right? Like, what are your wildest dreams? Why not think big? Right. Another thing I often hear is that wanting to be wealthy is bad, right? Rich people are bad. They're evil, inherently evil. First of all, it's highly unlikely that in your private practice that you're going to become a millionaire. Sorry. We're not talking about that kind of money. And hey, if you do, more power to you. Tell us your secrets. But more likely, you're going to be comfortable. Okay. You're not going to be Elon Musk. You're not going to be Jeff Bezos. Okay. You're not going to be actively harming the world with this like massive hoarding of wealth. Okay. And then why is money itself inherently bad, right? Money is value neutral, right? Like food is value neutral. We can make choices with our money that do harm, but money itself has no value. I mean, it has a monetary value, but it has no like ethical value, right? And in fact, we can make choices with our money that do good. Okay. Yes, you could do bad things with money, but you could also do good things with money, right? Good things for us, for our families, for our clients, for our communities. Wealth and comfort give us options. They give us freedom to breathe. They give us spaciousness. Now, all those things make us better therapists, as opposed to being exhausted, resentful, burned out, which does not make you a good therapist. Something that's under a lot of these mindset traps, I think, is the reality that often therapists come from one or more underrepresented groups, like they have one or more marginalized identities. Most therapists are women, first of all. Many therapists are BIPOC. There are more therapists from the LGBT community. I think the LGBT community is pretty well represented in the field of therapy and mental health. Many therapists are the first in their families to get a master's degree, maybe even the first to go to college. And like I said, many therapists fit into several of these categories, right? There are therapists who are immigrants, right? Like people, there's a large representation of people in our field with like one or many marginalized identities. And what do all of these categories have in common when it comes to financial security and accruing wealth? People in these groups often aren't in positions of power in our society, right? In positions where wealth and privilege are common. I mean, it varies. Of course, I am a white person. I have immense amounts of privilege as a white person. But, if you are a BIPOC therapist, there's a lot of, you are denied a lot of privilege, right? And so people aren't used to seeing people who look like a BIPOC person, who are BIPOC, who are women, who are LGBTQ, who speak a different language, who are immigrants, right? People are not used to people who look like that occupying positions of power and accruing wealth, and it threatens those who usually are the ones who hold the wealth. Okay. They're like, that's mine. Don't you come for it. How dare you think you have a right to that? Also, many people from these groups have caregiving roles, right? Or are seen as caregivers, right? In their families, in their friend groups, maybe even professionally, right? Like how often do people from with marginalized identities get given the task of like, oh, you can organize the baby shower for this person. I didn't ask for that, but that's what women do, or that's what, whatever. Um, and we know care work as therapists, we know this is incredibly undervalued. Okay, so we should be doing this all for free. People like us, people like you should be doing this for free. So it can feel really hard to claim that you are deserving of more. But as I said before, a rising tide lifts all boats. Let's lift the boats of those who have been historically undervalued in so many ways. It can be a liberatory practice. Okay. And I know people will argue with that, but I firmly believe it. A final trap is the fear that clients aren't going to pay a premium fee, which I kind of alluded to before. And I've said many times, you don't need to be selling this to everyone. It won't be for everyone. It doesn't need to be for everyone. Currently, I do, although I'm taking a break for the summer, I do 1 to 2 intensives a month. That means max 24 intensive clients a year. That's what I need to bring in. That's who I need to find. That is not impossible. In fact, it's very possible. And that's if I didn't have any more hourly clients. That would like 2 would be my ideal, because that would be $10,000 a month, which is my goal for my like practice part of my income. Um, it's okay if not every client wants to do this. And then some will make it happen who you might not think could make it happen. Give them the like respect of like, sure, maybe this is something you will find a way to do. Like we don't know their lives, right? We shouldn't make assumptions about what they can and cannot pay. That's very patronizing. But, some will make it happen, even if it feels a little hard. I've had clients save up for it. I've had clients use their HSAs to pay, use part of a tax return. I remember one client saying that she chose an intensive over Botox. And she said the intensive was a much better use of her money. I've talked a lot in other episodes about why intensives are good value, but let me give you a sense of how many intensives I've booked in the past 6 months. Okay. I was looking back at my records and I had 12 intensive consult calls and I booked and completed 9 of those. So 3 people chose not to do it. And that doesn't include several 2-hour sessions with regular clients. I have one client that does a 2-hour session every week. I have 2 actually who do a 2-hour session every week. I have some that do a 2-hour session every few weeks. So that's intensively, right? And they are continual clients. They're ongoing clients. I have a handful of weekly clients as well. And so what that means is that my revenue for the past 6 months up until now, which is the end of April, is I did the math and it's $81,390. And that doesn't include business coaching, consulting, or teaching, which are my other revenue streams. So that gives you a sense of what's possible. And I didn't start charging 5K for an intensive until January. So that number would be higher than I gave you if I'd started charging that sooner, right? The higher rate. And I had to refer out some intensives in terms of my capacity, in terms of the presenting issue of the client or scheduling incompatibilities during that time. Oh, and during that time, I took 27 days of vacation. So there you go. Okay. Now, if you want to challenge these limiting beliefs, you need, like I said, you need to be with talking to people who are also doing this work. And this is a big part of what I talk about in any kind of coaching I do is like, what are the beliefs that are holding you back? And what are the specific steps we can take to help you push through them? And you can. I have seen many people do it, but you have to have the courage to start. And for some people, certainly what's true for me, like a program that provides that framework for you and that accountability um, is huge in helping you do that. So, group program starts in September. Contact me if you're interested in VIP days, before then. So yeah, now I just want to talk a little bit about my story in terms of how I got to charging 5K for a 15-hour intensive. So the very beginning of my intensive journey was just offering extended sessions. I was looking back at my files and I saw that my first extended session was a 2-hour session in October of 2022. And then in November of 2022, I had my first actual intensive where I had three-hour sessions over a couple of weeks. My first official, like, let's do an intensive and have it be, I only work with you for this amount of time. The extended session I'm talking about in October was an ongoing client. So with that first one, I charged $675 for that 3-hour session. And I did that because I know another therapist who charges $225 an hour for her intensive. So I thought that's what you're supposed to do. But I was incredibly nervous anyway. And he said, okay, anyway. But $675 times 3 is $2,025. Okay. $225 an hour. My hourly rate at that point was $175 an hour. It's now $200 an hour. But I don't have I don't have too many hourly clients anymore, but so it was $50 higher than my hourly rate. And at the time I felt great about that. I was like, woohoo, look at me. And it still felt hard to say. I was nervous, but that's where I started and people were saying, okay. And I wasn't trying to convince anyone. I was just giving them the option and they could say no. Right. And then over time, I came up with this sort of model of the 3-day, 15 hours and sort of figured out how I liked that better. Like the 3-hour intensive, we didn't really take any breaks more than like 5 minutes to pee. And I didn't like that. I needed a little bit of a break. So that I like how I have it structured with the hour break in the middle now. Anyway, and I upped the fee. Well, I started offering $3,300 for 15 hours. And I said I upped the fee, but then I did the math and that actually works out to $220 an hour. So $5 an hour less than what I charged for the 3-hour session. I honestly never noticed that before. I'm not sure why I did that. Anyway, that's where I was. That's where I was. That was my model starting in, I think I started doing that in the middle of spring 2023. So just over a year ago. And I continued to get referrals. I also continued to network and market and all of the things we need to do to get referrals, to get the message out about this new service I was offering and was really specializing in. I changed my website, so it really focused on this. And people who were satisfied with my services started talking about me. And so I was getting word of mouth referrals. And another so that was giving me confidence, right? That this was a valuable offering. And another incredibly important step in getting to 5K was hiring a business coach. I started working with Kelly McKenna, who is at Sit with Kelly and at Business of Therapy. Those are her 2 Instagram accounts. She's phenomenally successful in a number of ways. And she's my one-to-one business coach. I'm still with her now, and she's amazing. And one reason I chose her to work with was because she was where I wanted to be, but not like too far ahead, like not 10 years ahead. Right. But I wanted to be like her, charging fees significantly above what I saw other people charging and using marketing skillfully and effectively to get those ideal clients who were willing to pay that. As we were working together in the summer and the fall, she started pointing out that I was getting plenty of referrals at my current fee, which to her meant that I should raise it. Which at first I was like, why does that mean that? But she also pointed out that I was starting to name that I was feeling overstretched, burned out, exhausted, all those signs of burnout. And my dissertation due date was only 7 months away. And I was telling her, I don't know if I can do this. How am I going to get this done? My schedule was packed, hourly clients, intensives, weekly podcasts, teaching, no breathing room, taking care of 3 kids, having a spouse, having a home, like all that stuff, starting to plan the move. Like there was just so much going on and I was exhausted. I've talked about this so much, but it's true. It was true. It continues to be true. And it's part of this story. I was not doing okay. And, it was clear to her and it was clear to me. So she really helped me reframe raising my fee that, like, obviously I'm doing quality work if the referrals are coming in and that what people were paying is proof that people will pay for quality work. And, they're already paying a premium fee, paying $3,300 for 15 hours puts, is a certain category of fee anyway. So yes, 5,000 is significantly more, but it's not like I was saying like, you know, 1,500 to 5,000, right? It was a jump, but it wasn't as big as it, might have could have felt, right? And she also helped me think about reducing my client load to make room for intensives. And she helped me come up with a plan for how to do that and kept me accountable, which is also something I would work with you on. How do you get from where your schedule is to one where you're focusing mostly on intensive? Like we worked on that together. And I will say that raising to 5K seemed like so much money to me at first. I was like, wow, okay, that. So the first thing we did was just to change the fee on my website. Okay. And not necessarily say anything about it, but just put it up there. I didn't even have to talk to people about it if I didn't want to. But knowing that it was up there, it was public, did go a long way towards trying to keep me accountable. Like I knew it was up there. So if someone came to me and I quoted them a different number, they'd be like, but what about your website? And if they got to me through my website, they'd already seen that. So if I charge less, they'd be like, oh, sure, great. But I was set on 5,000 already, you know? Um, And it just helped me get used to the idea as well. And like I said, it was a way to weed people out, right? And I make sure my fee is very, very clear on my website. It's not hard to find. I hate that on people's websites. Hate it that you're like, you have to look and go to drop down menus and FAQs and or call us to find out our fee. No, 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 no. If I see someone's website say call us to find out the fee, I'm not calling you. So I am not calling you. It needs to be there so I know. Right. Um, so over time, I got used to saying 5K and now that's the fee I quote. That's what I say. And I'm still getting enough referrals. Well, I'm not taking anyone new right now as the move is only a couple more months away, but I'm still getting calls and I'm having to refer people out for that reason. It's about getting your name out there. Okay. It's about connecting with the right people who will also see the value of what you're doing and connect you with people who will pay that. And it's about having a solid and genuine pitch and having confidence in your value, right? All of which I will work with you on. So, because of what I've been able to bring in this year already with all the other pieces that I mentioned, it's like well over 100K for the years of work for the past 6 months. That was the number I was going on. I should check. I'd have to recount for this year so far. So I can take July and August completely off as we move to Vermont and I get everyone acclimated and we start the school year. We're fine. I'm fine. There's cash in the bank. It doesn't feel scary to do it. Doesn't feel like I'm going to lose momentum. It actually feels like I'm going to relax and feel great about it. And if I tried to squeeze some work in during those 2 months, I would lose it. My family would suffer. It's not worth it. But since I don't have hourly clients, right, I can not only financially, but in terms of scheduling, I can do that. I can take 2 months off. I know intensive therapists who travel for 6 months of the year and do intensives the rest of the time. Like, what a way to live, right? Um, Let me teach you all about this, either in my VIP day or the group program in September. This can be the life that you can live. I did it. You can do it. Other people are doing it. Okay. Intensives are so hot right now. Don't miss out on an opportunity to absolutely change how you run your practice and like the financial freedom it gives you. So, today was all about overcoming our money mindset, our limiting beliefs. I taught you, and I also told you a little bit about a little bit about my story from a 2K intensive to a 5K intensive. If I can do it, so can you. I used to be so scared talking about money, and still sometimes I get a little catch in my throat. But I know that I can survive that discomfort and get to the other side of it. And if somebody says no, they say no, and that's fine. It doesn't mean that I should charge less, right? Um, if this resonated with you and you have more questions, you can get in touch with me on Instagram at Future Template Parent or on my website, www.futuretemplateparent.com. If you haven't already, next week's episode, the topic will be the 3 biggest mistakes therapists make when switching to intensives. Guess what? I have made them all, but you don't have to. So we'll talk about that and hopefully you can avoid some of the things that I did and, you know, be ahead of the game. Talk to you then and have a great week, everyone. Thanks for listening. Take care. Bye bye.